Everybody's sleeping and I'm working. Everything I see is not for me. Desk from 11 till the sun comes up at 6. Nobody arrives and there is nothing much to do. Everybody's checked in and there isn't any fix. Just a lobby and a lamp and a very long view. Every couple hours somebody comes in from the dark. Everybody's got a reason and it's never good. Nobody at 3 has arrived here on a lark. Nobody at 3 is understood. Minute half past 4 with the suit and with the face. Asked me for a room and he had nothing but a card. Everything about him was a person out of place. Gave him a key and did not ask him about heart. Woman at 2:30 who had clearly had to leave. Nothing but a bag and a child who was asleep. Gave them the good room and I did not ask to grieve. Some things you just keep. Everybody's story at the door. Everything is worse than it was before. Nothing here is anything to start. Night porter, keeper of the dark. Everything that happens here will never leave a mark. I don't ask a question and I never say a word. Only give a key and stay unheard. Nobody has told me what they've done. That's the only reason that they come. Low, the bass line humming in the hall. Everything is quiet and it's tall. Nothing in the lobby has a call. Woman came back down at 5:15. Sat there in the lobby and she didn't say a thing. Made her something hot and I did not once contrive. Nothing about kindness and it wasn't offering. Sat there for an hour and she left before the light. Never saw her after and I don't know how it went. Everything about it was entirely right. Everything was meant. Everybody's got a night they had to find a door. Nobody remembers who was standing at the desk. Half of us are porters and it's what a porter's for. Nothing about wisdom and it isn't any everybody's free. Lights come up and everybody's face. Everything is honest in this place. Nothing here is anything to chase. Closing time, brutal in the light. Everything we built in here is finishing tonight. I don't wanna speech and I don't wanna toast. Only want the standing with the most. Nobody has said a word at all. That's the only reason it's so low. The bassline fading with the crowd. Everything is quiet and it's proud. Nothing in the room is very loud. Barman poured a final and he did not take a cent. Everybody stood there with a glass and with a shake. Somebody said something about everywhere we went. Somebody was crying and it wasn't any fake. Walked out at a quarter past the time I can't recall. Stood there in the street and nobody went away. Everybody standing on the pavement by the wall. Nobody would say. Everybody's got a room that is gonna close. Nothing about that has ever made it less a room. Everything you built and every somewhere that it goes. Look at that continues and be present any tomb. Look at every close and then be present in the light. Look at every face because the faces are the thing. Everything the building was standing there tonight. That's the only time for the closing. Empty and complete. Everything we were in there is standing in the street. Let them take the building and let them build a tower. Nothing here is anything but our 20 years of Fridays is alive. That's the only kind of night. Lights are off and everybody's leaving. Whoa. Everything we built is on the pavement. Whoa. Nothing on the extra month. Everything is broken and it's fine. Renovated for weeks and it was always only ever sore. Nothing that would stop me and I've had a lot of sore. Every single morning it was slightly more. Nothing you could point at and there wasn't any door. Doctor took a picture and she said there's nothing here. Told me to continue until I said in the night. Everything continued for a period of the year. Everything was fine and it was right. Then in March I stepped upon a curb without a care. Bone went entirely and the sound was very loud. Nothing about that step and there was nothing in the air. Everything was already broken in the crowd. Chaka took a picture and she said it's been for long. Hairline that had run through it for 18 months or more. Nothing but the curb and there was nothing that was wrong. Everything before. Nothing on the picture and it's there. Everything is running through the bear. Nothing here is anything to spare. Hairline fracture, invisible and long. Everything that broke me was already going wrong. I don't get to blame, never very ordinary day. Only get the 18 months away. Nobody can see it on a plate. That's the only reason that it's late. Low, the baseline running through the bone. Everything is cracking on its own. Low, the baseline running through the bone. Everything is cracking on its own. Marriage was the same and it was one specific night. Everybody's certain that a sentence did it in. Nothing about that and it was absolutely right. Everything had run through it for 18 months of thin. Nobody could see it and we photographed it twice. Everything was normal and we told the both of us. Nothing about a curb and nothing about a price. Everything was us. If you have a soreness that is very slightly more, do not wait for pictures that will show you what is true. Everything that's hairline is invisible before. Everything that's hairline is a thing that runs right through. Stop and take the season and be boring and be still. Nothing about that will ever feel like it is right. Everything that heals there is a curb you will not spill. That's the only vibe. Fracture at the hairline, healing in the cast. Everything invisible has finally been passed. Let the season take me and let nothing get to run. plan. Now I'll take the temperature on Sunday with a note. Write it in a book and I compare it to the year. Nothing about interest and it's just a thing I wrote. Nothing about that has ever caused me any fear. Caught one in October when it went up half a mark. Made a single change and it came back to where it was. Nothing up heroic and it wasn't very stark. Nothing but because everybody's waiting for a thing that will announce. Nobody has told them that announcing isn't out. Everything that gets you comes in fractions of an ounce. Everything that gets you is the very same as now. Take a measurement on Sunday and compare it to a year. Nothing about paranoid and nothing about grim. Everything that's rising is the thing you have to hear. That's the only limb. Boil that is slow, cut, beef before the top. Everything I measured is the reason I can stop. Let the ring say low or to try another rear. Nothing here is going to appear. Measuring is all that ever saves. That's the only thing that waves. Nothing in the water says it's rising. Somebody is measuring and stop. Stop, 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 stop. Stop, 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 stop. Ocean leaves a bowl of itself behind. Everything inside it is a world. Cried there as a child for an hour at a time. And the morning crab and 100 kinds of green. Everything in there is a very tiny prime. Everything in there is a functional machine. Ocean comes back twice and it changes all the rules. Everything survives it in a way I couldn't say. Nothing in there ever had a choice about the pools. Everything just stayed. Small life in a small town in a job that isn't grand. Everybody's asking when I'm gonna go and grow. Everything they mean is that they cannot understand. Everything in here is functioning and whole. Got 100 species in an area of a plate. Got a lowly economy of favors and of names. None about that is a thing to underrate. Nothing about small is shame. Full of water left behind the way. Everything inside it is a name. Nothing here has ever had to say. Tight pool, complete and very small. Everything I need is in a bowl against the wall. I don't need the ocean, I don't need the deep. Only need the little that I keep. Nobody has told me it's enough. Everything in here is made of stuff. Load the baseline, lapping at the rim. Everything is holding to the brim. Nothing in the pool is ever grim. Nothing in the pool is ever grim. Went away at 20 for a decade of a chase. Everything enormous and I saw the whole of it. Came back at 30 to the very same place. Crouched down at the pool and I could hardly sit. Everything's still there and it is never even known. Nothing about me in my decade of the white. Everything I chased was a bowl that could have grown. Everything's inside. Everybody's certain that the ocean is the aim. Everybody's certain that a bowl is a defeat. None of our skill was ever anybody's claim. None of our skill has ever made a person sweet. If you have a pool and it is functioning and full, please do not abandon it because it isn't wide. Everything you're looking for is sitting in that bowl. Everything inside. Pool for the tide, glowing in the sun. Everything I'm looking at is absolutely one. Let the ocean roll and let it take the whole of them. Nothing here is anything to stem. Small and whole is all I ever need. That's the only kind of sea. Ocean left a bowl of itself behind. Everything inside it was enough. Everything I learned was on the metal. Nobody was watching and it hurt. had a set that was welded in the sun. Bars about a meter over gravel and a crack. Everybody's parents would have bended in a run. Nobody had parents that was standing at the back. Learned to fall from there and it was mostly on the shoulder. Learned to get back up because there wasn't any choice. Every kid I knew that got a fraction of them bolder. Every kid I knew that found a voice. Now the blocks are rubber and the bars are very low. Nothing that can hurt and nothing that can go. Everybody's safer and I genuinely know. Also there is nothing there that anybody's grow. Watch my niece attempt to be frightened on a thing. Absolutely nothing to be frightened of at all. Everything's a foam and she is looking for a sting. Everything's too small. Gravel underneath and it is real. Everything I fall on I will feel. Nothing here is anything but steel. Monkey bars rusted in the light. Everything I learned I'll never arrive without a right. I don't recommend it and I wouldn't build it now. Only that it taught me somehow. Nobody was there to break the fall. That's the only reason I stand tall. Clang the low end ringing on the rung. Everything is metal and it's stung. Nothing here is anything but young. 1 by 31 I'm there torn it out. Rubber and a plastic and a thing that goes around. Sat there on a bench and I could not have told you about anything specific, but I sat there on the ground. Half of me is glad because I can't broke both the arms. Other half of me is looking for a place to learn. Nothing about danger and there isn't any charms. Nothing left to burn. Everybody's building a considerably safer world. Every single change of it is genuinely right. Also there is something that is quietly unfurled. Nobody has anywhere to find and get a fright. If you have a child then go find a real tree. Something with a consequence that isn't very large. Everything they learn there is a thing you get for free. That's the only charge. Bars for the monkey, gone from the ground. Everything they taught me is a thing I never found. Leather for the rail, the rubber safe and around. Nothing here is coming down. Falling was the lesson and it's true. That's the only thing I knew. Everything I learned was on the metal. Nobody was watching and I'm here. Nobody has ever watched me work. Everybody's watched the thing I made. Stadium is famous and the grass is on the screen. 90,000 people and a broadcast to the world. Nobody's aware there's a person in between. Nobody's aware of what was mown and what was curled. Out there at 4:30 with the light upon a car, cutting in stripes at a very careful width. Everything they're playing on is honestly my art. Everything's a myth. Rain came in November and it ruined half the field. Worked for 19 days and I did not go home at all. Every single hour was a battle for the hill. Nobody was watching and there wasn't any call. Match day came and it was absolutely green. Commentator said it looked immaculate and true. Never said a name and never said a thing between. That's the whole of what I do. Grass does not remember who I am. Everything I'm doing is a dam. Nothing here has anybody's grab. The groundskeeper, out before the sun. Everything they're standing on is something I have done. I don't get a jersey and I don't get a chant. Only get the growing of the plant. Nobody is looking at the green. That's the only reason it is clean. Low, the baseline rolling with the mower. Everything is greener and it's slower. Nothing here has ever had a nowhere. Kicking around in April and he asked me for a job. Told him it is boring and it never has a fan. Told him that the money is a genuinely sob. Told him he should do it if he's got it in his hand. Been here 14 years and he is better now than me. Nobody has noticed and he doesn't seem to mind. Everything is growing, it's a thing I'll never see. Everything is kind. Everybody's building for a stadium of eyes. Nobody is building for the surface underneath. Half the world is famous and it's mostly a disguise. Half the world is grass and it is holding up the teeth. If you are the surface then I want you to be no devices ever used. Key to an apartment I have not lived in for years. Rubber bands and a receipt and something I refused. Photograph for somebody who's dead and had no peers. Everything in there was too important to discard. Everything in there was too useless for a shelf. Nothing in the system and there isn't any card. Everything in there is myself. Organize my whole flat in a weekend never fit. Everything is labels and container in a place. Then I hit the drawer and I cannot deal with it. Sat there on the kitchen floor and put it back in space. Everything that fits into a system is a lie. Everything important isn't categorized and odd. Nothing in my life has ever wanted to comply. Nothing in the God. Open it and see the whole of me. Everything refusing to agree. Nothing here has ever had a key. Junk drawer, honest and a mess. Everything important is a thing I can't address. I don't have a system and I never really did. Only have a drawer and got a lid. Nobody has sorted what I am. That's the only reason I'm a jam. Low, the bass line rattle in the tray. Everything is jumbled in the day. Nothing here is going to obey. Man, I didn't want me to sort it in a week. Told me it's a symptom and he wasn't even wrong. Threw out half of it and I could genuinely not speak. Something in the losing was entirely too strong. When I bought a battery, a flashlight has no use. Put it in the drawer and I felt everything return. Nothing about logic and it hasn't got excuse. Nothing left to learn. Everybody's optimizing everything they own. Nobody is asked what the optimizing costs. Half of what you are is a thing you've never known. Half of what you are is in the drawer that you have lost. If you have a drawer, then go and open it and look. Everything in there is a thing you couldn't place. Everything in there is a very honest book. That's the only fate. Drawer full of junk, jammed and going shut. Everything inside of it is everything I'm not. Let the rest of it be labeled and be neat. Nothing here is going to be beat. Chaos in the drawer is who I am. That's the only working plan. Every house has one and it is honest. Everything in mine is still refusing. Row of trees that nobody will harvest. Everything they do is for the field. Farmer planted 80 on the edge of every plot. Took a blend that could've grown a very decent crop. Neighbors thought I'm stupid for the acreage she had not. Everybody's planning to the fence and doesn't stop. 20 years went by and there was drought across the plain. Everybody stopped, so went to Kansas in a week. His was where he left it and it never left the lane. His was what they'd seek. Trees don't grow a thing that you could ever take to town. Trees just stand there taking the entirety of wind. Everything behind them is protected and is brown. Everything behind them is a thing that hasn't been. Nothing about generous and nothing about nice. Only that a person understood the way it goes. Everything productive has to pay a standing price. Everything that grows, roll them absorbing what arrives. Everything behind them stays alive. Nothing here has ever had to strive. Windbreak, useless and required. Everything behind it is a thing that isn't tired. I don't get a harvest from the acreage I gave. Only get the field that it will save. Nobody has counted what they hold. That's the only reason I'm not sold. The baseline moving what was coming through. Never grew a thing and never had a thing to show. Everything you are standing quietly on to. Call them up on Sunday and describe the actual field. Tell them what they broke and what it cost them in the ground. Nothing you can pay them and there isn't any yield. Nothing but the sound. If you are the trees, then I want you to be told. Nothing about that will ever show up in account. Everything you're taking is a thing that isn't gold. Everything you're taking is the whole of the amount. Also there's a field and it is green and it is fed. Also there's a person who is standing in his hole. Nothing you can point it and there's nothing to be said. That's the only road. Break for the wind, standing in the gale. Everything behind me is a thing that will not fail. Let them count the acreage I never got to sow. Nothing here is anything to show. Standing is the only thing I grew. That's the only thing that's true. Row of trees that nobody will harvest. Everything behind them is alive. Something in a jar that has to eat. Everything I make comes out of it. Yeah. Hey! Grandmother's was 90 when it came to me in June. Jar of something bubbling and honestly a smell. Told me it would die if I neglected for a moon. Told me that it's living and it has to be as well. Fed it every morning with a flour and a water. Nothing about bacon and I didn't make a thing. Just a person keeping something living for a daughter. Just a person in a spring. It was a week in August when I traveled for a job. Came back to a jar that was a gray and dying thing. Fed it every hour and I honestly did sob. Took 11 days and then it started back to sing. Nothing about drama and it's honestly a pace. Also it is 90 and it came through her hands. Everything about it is a thing you cannot waste. Everything that stays, feed it or it dies and that is all. Everything that's living is so cold. Nothing here is anything but small. Yeah! Sourdough, breathing in the jar. Everything I bake with it is 90 so far. I don't get to pause it and I don't get to freeze. Only get to feeding on my knees. Yeah! Nobody has told me it's a chore. That's the only reason I keep more. Low, the baseline bubbling in the glass. Everything is living and will pass. Never here is anything but mass. Yeah, gave a jar of it to her friend who had a birth. Told her all the rules and told her what it needs to eat. Told her that it's 90 and it's genuinely worth. Told her if it doesn't, it's a very common feat. Saw her in December and the jar was on the sale. Bubbling and living and she baked it into bread. Something about that was a very quiet thrill. Something about thread. Everybody's got a thing that has to eat to live. Language or a friendship or a practice or a skill. Nothing about that will ever be a thing you give. Everything requires a considerable will. Feed it in the mornings even when it's very dull. Feed it when you're traveling and feed it when you're strapped. Everything alive is going to consume the whole. That's the only rad. Dough that is sour, rising in the tin. Everything I person had to go. Practice it until it is entirely a bone. Nothing about morbid and it's just a thing I know. Then my father died and I could barely even stand. Everything I practiced came out level and was clear. Held the whole of it and held my sister's hand. Nothing about fear. Everybody's waiting for a thing they cannot name. Nobody rehearses for the day it will arrive. Half of us collapse and there is nobody to blame. Half of us have practiced and we managed to survive. If you know a thing is coming in a year or 10, go and do the boring and completely stupid drill. Everything will be is what your body did back then. That's the only skill. Drill for the fire, finished and dispersed. But everything rehearsed becomes the thing you do when worse. Let the alarm ring for the 100th boring time. Nothing here is anything but climb. Practice is the whole of being brave. That's the only thing to say. No, no. Oh, 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 oh. Nothing was on fire, and we practiced. Everything we practiced saved us later. Everybody here is from two places. Nobody from here is from just one. Grew up that the language changed at the end of a street. Everybody's mother from one side or the other. Everybody's dinner is a very mixed feed. Everybody's cousin is a stranger to a brother. Learn to speak in both and to belong in either one. Learn it as a child and I have never lost the gap. Everything I am is a translation and a run. Everything's a map. People from the middle of a country never know what it is to stand with a foot on either side. Everybody's certain about where they get to go. Everything about them is a very solid pride. Out here we are, neither and it isn't a complaint. Mostly it's a knowledge that a line is just a lie. Everything is certain of is genuinely your pain. Nothing is a sign. Listen is a sign. Line on a map that somebody drew. Everything on both sides is the truth. Nothing here has ever had a clue. Border town, neither in the both. Everything I am is a divided kind of oath. I don't have a country and I don't have a flag. Only at the middle and a draft. Whoa, nobody from here has just one. Has just one. Has just one. Has just one. Whoa, that's the only reason we are one. Low, the baseline crossing at the gate. Everything is moving and it's late. And the meadow has a state. Left at 22 to a city with one tongue. Everybody certain and it drove me nearly mad. Everything was solid and I felt myself unstrung. Nobody had ever been divided or been sad. Came back at 30 and I stood there at the line. Heard the both of them and something in my body eased. Everything I hated is the whole of what is mine. Everything is pleased. Everybody's asking you to pick a single side. Everybody's certain that the pinky makes you whole. Nothing about that has ever functioned as a guide. Nothing about that has ever mattered to a soul. If you are divided, then you're standing where it's true. Everything important happens somewhere in a scene. Everybody solid has a very narrow view. That's the only dream. Everything I am is both of them. Everything is loud and almost nothing matters. Finding out which is the whole of it. Engineer explained it with a needle and a dial. Signal is the thing that you are trying to receive. Noise is every other thing arriving in the file. Everything you're hearing is a mixture and a weave. Ratio is all and it's the only thing that counts. Not how loud the signal, it's how quiet is the rest. Everything I chase is about the wrong amount. Everything's a test. Everything's a test. Spin a decade out into the signal of my life. More of everything and more of louder and more. Never once considered any lowering of strife. Never once considered that the noise is what I bore. Then I cut 100 things and did not add a one. Signal stayed exactly where it always was before. Suddenly I heard it and it had never gone. Suddenly the floor turned the noise down and the signal grows. Everything I need it always shows. Nothing here is anything but signal to noise, ratio and truth. Everything I'm hearing is a mixture of the proof. I don't need a louder or a bigger or a more. Only need the quiet on the floor. Nobody gets clearer adding sound. That's the only thing I ever found. Low the baseline sitting in the clear. Everything I wanted is right here. Nothing in the static has a fear. Friend of mine is drowning and he asked me what to do. Told him not to add another practice or a plan. Told him take 100 things and cut them into two. Told him that the signal has been there since he began. Did it over autumn and it nearly broke his head. Everything he cut was a thing he loved a bit. Then December came and he had heard the thing instead. Then December lit. Then December lit. Everybody's certain that the answer is to add. Everybody's building a considerably louder life. Nothing about that has ever made a person glad. Nothing about that has ever quieted the knife. If you cannot hear it, then the signal isn't small. Everything around it is arriving at the same. Cut the noise in half and do not add a thing at all. That's the only noise under signal, quiet in the room. Everything I cut away is why it's not a tune. Let the world be louder and let everything compete. Nothing here is anything to be. Quiet is the whole of what I made. That's the was on that bike. 11 years old and the alarm went off at 4. Bag about as heavy as a whole of my own weight. 90-something houses and a very careful door. Everything memorized and nothing that was late. Nobody was up and there was nobody to see. Nothing but the streetlight and the sound of my own chain. Everything about it was entirely for me. Everything is played. Learned the whole geography of everybody's life. Which of them was up at 5 and which of them was not. Which of them had trouble and which of them had a wife. Everything you learn from a doorstep and a slide. Nobody had told me and I never said a thing. Just a kid on a bicycle who knew the whole town. Everything about it is a very quiet ring. Everything's a crown. Chain and a bag and a very early code. Everything I'm learning isn't told. Nothing here is anything but old. Paper out, silent in the dark. Everything I learned on it was never on a mark. I don't have a certificate, never had a wage. Only had a bicycle and age. Nobody has told me what it did. That's the only reason it's not hit low. The baseline turning with the wheel. Low. Everything is quiet and it's real. Nothing in the morning has a feel. Man in 94 would be waiting at the gate. Everybody's paper and he only wanted mine. Talked to me for 10 and I was frequently late. Nothing that he said was a thing I could define. Died in the December and his daughter found my name. Told me that he'd mentioned me for years and years and years. Nothing about that was a thing that I could claim. Nothing but the tears. Everybody's got a job, they had 11 years. Nothing about money and it wasn't any pay. Everything you learn, there is a thing that still adheres. Everything about you was assembled in a day. If you have a child, then go and find him something small. Something with the bag and with the route and with the code. Everything they'll be is gonna come out of the hall. That's the only goal. Root with the paper, finished at the sun. Everything I learned from it is everything I've done. Let the bicycle be resting in a shed. Nothing here is anything but head. 90 houses made the whole of me. That's the only kind of free. Everybody's waking and I'm finished. Everything I learned is on that bike. Oh, water going underneath the water. Everything above it looks like everybody's frightened of the way that you can see. Nobody is frightened of the thing beneath the foam. Every year the ocean takes a number that is free. Everybody's swimming who is certain of the home. Undertow is silent and it doesn't look like much. Nothing on the surface ever tells you it is there. Then your feet are gone and there is nothing you can touch. Then you're going out to somewhere. Lifeguard told me all of it when I was 17. Told me if it takes you, do not swim against the pole. Everything about you will be certain and be mean. Everything about you wants to fight until you're full. What you do is swim across and parallel to shore. Feels entirely wrong and it is absolutely right. Everything direct will be a thing you can restore. That's the only fight. Do not swim against the thing that takes. Everything direct is what it breaks. Nothing here is anything but stakes. The undertow, silent and below. Everything above it is a thing you never That's the only thing that isn't fake. Low, the bass line pulling at the sand. Everything is going from the land. Nothing here is anything but hand. Same with any grief and any panic, any den. Everything direct is going to exhaust the whole. Nothing about that has ever gotten anybody yet. Everything about it is a very common whole. Swim across it sideways and accept the awful feel. Nothing about that will ever look like it is brave. Then the thing releases and you're standing and it's real. Then you're out the way. If you're in a pulling and it's taking you from shore, please do not attempt the very obvious reply. Everything about you will be certain and be more. Everything about you will be absolutely why. Turn and go across it in the manner of a fool. Feels like you are giving up on everything you had. That's the only method and it isn't any tool. That's the only right. Toe that is under, letting me go free. Everything I swim across is why I'm not at sea. Let the ocean take whoever swims against the tank. Nothing here is anything to break. Sideways is the whole of getting out. That's the only thing to shout. Water going out beneath the water. Everything above it takes me out. Water going out beneath the water. Everything above it takes me in. Everything I cook in it improves it. Nothing else on earth is built that way. Grandmother's is 90 and it came to me in black. Told me never wash it with a soap or with a scrub. Told me that the service is a thing you can't get back. Told me every meal I make is going the rub. Everything you cook becomes a layer on the pan. Everything you burn becomes a part of what it is. Nothing about cleaning it is not and also ran. Everything is his. Modern pans get better if you treat them very well. Cast iron gets better only if you use it hard. Everything you do to it becomes a thing to tell. Everything that scars it is a thing that made it start. Ruined mine at 20 when I scrubbed it to the bone. Took me 18 months of a relentless kind of use. Everything came back and it is better than I known. Nothing was a loss. Layer over layer and it's black. Everything I burn becomes the track. Nothing here is anything to Cast iron better for the scar. Everything that damaged it is why it's what we are. I don't want a surface that a scratch will take away. Only want a thing that eats the day. Nobody improves a pan by rest. That's the only reason it's the best. Low, the baseline sizzling in the fat. Everything is building and it's flat. Nothing in the iron ever set. Person that I was at 19 would have hated me. Everything about her was unscratched and very clean. Nothing had been burned and there was nothing she could see. Everything ahead of her and nothing in between. Now I'm mostly damaged and I'm blackened and I'm slick. Everything I cook comes out considerably more. Nothing about pretty and there isn't any trick. That's what scars are for. Everybody's protecting a considerably Everybody's frightened of the burning and the mark. Nothing about that has ever seasoned anything through. Everything unscarred is a very shallow arc. If you have a damage, then it's building up a floor. Everything you burned on it is why the next is good. Nothing about that will ever put you back before. That's the only wire that is cast black across the base. Everything that burned me is the reason for the face. Let them keep the surfaces that scratch and go to waste. Nothing here is anything to taste. Season is a thing you have to earn. That's the only kind of Everything I cook it improves it. Everything that scarred me made the black. When it's coming, sideways at the runway. Everything you point at is a lie. Pilot told me landing is a thing you never face. Wind is going sideways at a considerable rate. Point the nose directly and you miss the whole of place. Point it at the wind and you arrive and you are late. What you do is aim into the thing that's pushing you. Fly a little crooked at the whole of the descent. Everything was wrong and it is absolutely true. That's how you're meant. Everything I've aimed at it direct. Every single time the wind has pushed me off the mark. Never understood it and I never could correct. Always thought that aiming at the target was the art. Learned an enemy flew from a man who flown for years. Told me that the wind is not an enemy at all. Told me that the crooked is the whole of what he steers. That's the only call. Aim into the thing that pushes hard. Everything is crooked in the yard. Nothing here is anything but scarred. Crosswind, pushing at the frame. Everything I'm aiming at is not the thing I name. I don't fly directly and I never really can. Only fly the correction and open to the plan. Nobody arrives by going straight. That's the only reason I'm not late. Baseline, howling off the wing. Everything is sideways, lies in the thing. Nothing in the crooked has a sting. Same thing with the person that you're trying to reach. Everything direct will be deflected by the air. Aim into the thing that is pushing at the speed. Somewhere in the crooked you arrive and you are there. So open I loved him in a way that went around. Talked about a thing that had nothing to do at all. Everything arrived and he never made a sound. Everything was small. Oh, everybody's pointing at the thing that they desire. Everybody's missing by the width of what is blown. Nothing about aim was the thing you should acquire. Everything is compensation for a thing unknown. Find out what the wind is and then aim into the gust. Fly the whole approach at an angle that looks wrong. Everything that lands there is the thing that had to trust. That's the only song. Wind at the cross, dying at the ground. Everything I aimed at is a thing I finally found. Let the nose stay crooked till the wheels are on the black. Nothing here is going to go back. Crooked is the only way to land. That's the only thing I understand. That's the only thing I understand. Right swing, pushing at the frame. I've been aiming and it's not the thing. Everything I'm ready and I never really can. Only be fly the correction. Nothing is nobody arrives, I'm running straight. That's the only reason I'm not. When it's cold 25 and everybody says, look at how you're doing and it's honestly arranged. Now it's added to and it will never hit a note. Sits there in the background like a very quiet hum. Nothing about that is a thing that can be fought. Nothing about love, half of what it was and half again. Everything is smaller than the pain. Nothing here is ever going to drain. Half life having every year. Everything is smaller than the pain. Nothing here is ever gonna drain. Half life having every year. Everything I carried is a fraction and it's here. I don't get a zero and I never really will. Only get the having, but still nobody has told me it would stay. That's the only honest thing to say. With the baseline dropping by a half, everything is quieter by a half. Nothing in the graph is ever good things have it also and I never understood. Joy of a promotion was 100 for a week. Then it was a 50 and it wasn't very good. Then it wasn't nothing that I couldn't even seek. Everything I chase has got the very same design. Everything I dread has got it equally as well. Nothing on the graph is a permanent in mind. Nothing is how lost your 100 and you cannot see the end. Please believe the graph and please believe it every day. Nothing on this earth has the power to extend. Everything that's screaming will be having in the way. Also if you're happy then be honest with the same. Everything you're feeling is a fraction of a year. Nothing about that is a tragedy or shame. That's the only clear life that is half smaller than before. Everything I carried is a fraction on the floor. Let it have again and let it get to almost naught. Nothing here is anything I fought. No, never gonna zero and that's fine. No, that's the only honest line. Everything decays at a known rate. Something very small is always left. Everything decays at a known rate. Something very small is always left. Every very small is always left. Somebody ahead of me will die or heal. Either way the number goes to less. Got the letter and the number was 401. Nothing about urgent and it wasn't any rush. Everybody on it is a person with the sun. Everybody on it in a very quiet hush. Nobody discusses the arithmetic of it. Everybody knows the only way the number falls. Half of us are hoping in a way we won't admit. Half of us are staring at the walls. Every single month there's a letter with the count 394 and then it's 382. Nothing in the letter but anybody's amount. Nothing in the letter but anybody's through. Sat there with the number for an hour on the stair. Everything about it is a person and a name. Everybody hoping is a thing I have to bear. Everybody's the same. Number going down and it's a lie. Everything I'm hoping is a knife. Nothing here is anything but strife. The waiting list, honest and obscene. Everything I'm hoping for is somebody's between. I don't get to want it and I cannot want it less. Only get the number and the mess. Nobody has language for this place. Of remix, arithmetic and grace. Low the baseline, counting down the row. Everything is moving very slow. Nothing in the number has to know. Called it 311 on a Thursday in July. Woman on the phone had a very careful voice. Told me it was mine and she did not explain the why. Everybody knows and there was nobody with choice. Cried for 20 minutes and I did not know for who. Half of it was mine, half of it was somewhere else. Everything about it was entirely true. Everything was else. If you're on a list then I have got a thing to say. Nothing about open is a thing that makes you bad. Everybody on it has to live another day. Everybody on it has the same and awful sad. When it comes you're gonna Nobody in my family had a napkin or a rule. Learned it from a movie and I practiced it at school. Now I move through rooms like I was born inside a suit. Every single gesture is a beautiful recruit. Underneath the tailoring there's something that can run, something that remembers what a hungry morning done. Keep it in a pocket where the manners cannot look. Half of me is finishing and half of me is took. Watch the way I hold the glass and stand. Nothing about this is secondhand. Feral elegance, polished and no way. Everything refined about me is a thing I had to make. I don't have a lineage and I don't have a crest. Only had a hunger and a very quick test. Proud, glowing pattern through the hole. Everything is graceful and it's tall. Woman at the gala asked me where I summered as a child. Told her about summers and I told them very mild. Never said the truth and never said a lie. Learned that from the same place that I learned to tie. Someday I might tell it at a table with the right somebody who'd hear it as a story and not a slight. Until then it's mine, it's the fuel beneath the wear. Everything you see was purchased with a scare. Elegance gone feral, moving through the light. Everybody comfortable and nobody is right. Let the room assume that I was always in the frame. Truth is I invented every letter of this name. Something raised outside is at the table. No crowd, no noise tonight. Just your shadow next to mine. We don't need a perfect view. This moment's only me and you. Words fall short and that's okay. Your smile says enough to stay. Every step feels easy, free, like the world agreed to leave. If everything just fades away, this would still remain. You and me, it's all I need to see. No big plans, no guarantees, just right here, honestly. You and me. You and me. If time decides to move too fast, we'll slow it down with a laugh. Not a story meant to prove, just the truth, me and you. You and me, that's all I need to see. No big plans, no guarantees, just right here, honestly. You and me. They talk loud, I hear none. Used to flinch, now I'm numb. Every rule they try to sell never fit me very well. I learned silence hits harder than a room full of noise. What I keep to myself now isn't fear, it's a choice. I've been once, I've been twice. Paid the cost, earned the price. Every yes I didn't mean left a mark I couldn't clean. Now I move how I feel, no excuse, no appeal. I don't argue, I don't stare, I just breathe a little air. I don't fight it, I don't flare, I just stop pretending to care. I don't need to prove a thing, I let go. I don't care what you think, what you say, I don't care. I don't move that way, I found air, I found space. I don't care. I don't care if it makes you uneasy, I don't care. I don't need you to see me, I found calm in my pace. I don't care. I don't care. No. I don't chase what I grew, I don't play what isn't true. Every step I didn't take was a version I had to break. I don't raise my voice to win, I don't need to fit your skin. What I keep, what I release is between me and my peace. I don't harden, I don't scare, I just stop pretending to care. I don't owe you clarity, I choose me. I don't care what you think, what you say, I don't care. I don't move that way, I found air, I found space. I don't care. I don't care, I'm not cold, I'm aware. I don't care what you label me as, I found truth in my way. I don't care. If I lose you on the way, I won't beg you to stay. Not cold, just aware I'm free. Every boundary I draw is the love I never saw. I don't need your repair, I'm free. I don't care. I don't care, I don't shrink, I don't flare, I don't care. I don't bend to be spared, I found room, I found air. I don't care. I don't care. This is quiet, not fear, I don't care. I'm exactly right here, I don't fade, I don't wait. I don't care. Not careless. Straight. Lake Coast City, breathing slow. I don't chase, I already know. Every move on a silent grid, they react to what I did. No crown, no flashy claim, still they whisper my name. I don't rush, I calculate every step, decides the fate. Eyes up, read the frame, I don't play it, I design the game. I run the game, no referee. Every line turns destiny. Hands stay clean, the cards obey. I run the game, I set the play. I've seen chaos, learn control. Read the room, then take it whole. While they talk, I stay precise. Moving quiet, known on the glass, in the chest. Hands up, let's go. Midnight rolling city humming like a choir. We don't need a spark, baby, we are the fire. Gloss on the lips, calm in the eyes. We've been through it all, still we rise. Headlights paint like a runway show. Every beat says move, every low says go. No more holding back, no more hush. Tonight we heal with a fearless rush. If you bring bad vibes, keep them out the door. We got the clean energy. One day more girls in the backseat, harmony tight. Like 1, 2, 3, we ignite. We don't chase approval, we chase that feel. Deep bass truth, yeah, it's always real. If you feel the weight, let it drop right now. Hands up high, make a promise out loud. Feel it build when the rhythm locks. Heart on beat when the whole crew rocks. Breathing power, let the doubt give up. Say my name with your hands up. Hands up, hands up. Let the night lift you right up. Deep bass, no stress, we don't slow down. Neon on our skin like a brand new crown. Hands up, if you're tired, let the music hold ya. We go hard, we go soft, we go free now. Hands up, that's the key now. Hands up, hands up. Can't stop, can't stop. Low end, slow sway, good mood all day. Yeah. On fire. I used to fold when the world got loud. Now I breathe through storms like a velvet cloud. If I stumble, I turn it to a step. If I'm hurting, I still show up, yes. Rear view shrinking on my yesterday. I'm not who I was and I'm okay. Since the talk, sweet laugh, midnight. Truth, we're the proof that the glow comes through. Close your eyes, let the bass hug tight. Let it fix the parts you hide at night. We turn fear into rhythm clean. We turn pain into harmony scene. Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. Neon prayer, speaker thump. Hearts align when the whole room jumps, 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 jumps. Hands up, hands up. Let the night lift you right up. Deep bass, no stress, we don't slow down. Neon on our skin like a brand new crown. Hands up, if you're tired, let the music hold ya. We go hard, we go soft, we go free now. Hands up, that's the key now. Hands up, we rise. Hands up, we glow. Hands up, no fear. Hands up, let go. Engine hum, city hush till we sway. Hands up to the sky till we greet the day. If you need that strength when it gets tough, hands up. Keys in my palm like a promise I keep. Street lights counting while the whole world sleeps. Lip gloss shine but my eyes stay clear. I'm not running from pain, I'm shifting gears. Windows down, cold air, clean reset. All that heavy talk, I don't claim it. Engine hum like a low sung prayer. I'm the calm in the chaos, I'm right here. Girls in the backseat, harmony tight. Soft laughs cutting through the midnight bite. We don't chase approval, we choose our peace. Turn the volume up till the worries release. If you bring bad vibes, keep them outside. We keep it pure on this night drive ride. Neon on my skin like a second heart. And the bass says, baby, start where you are. Feel it build when the kick goes in. Like a new me waking under my skin. Breathing power, let the doubt unwind. Say it with me, it's drive time. Drive, drive, hands up, let it ride. City lights on my face, I'm alive. Deep bass in my chest, I'm a guy. On this road, I'm my own alive. Drive, drive, no fear in my eyes. Turn the past to dust in the rear view shine. If it feels like freedom is mine, no light, but tonight we shine, we shine. Drive mode. Yeah, don't slow. I used to dim my glow to keep it nice. Now I shine on purpose, that's the price. If I cry, it's rain, then it's gone. I don't live where the hurt lives on. Rear view shrinking on my yesterday. I bless it softly, then I drift away. Sisterhood strong, we don't need a sign. We are the glow when the clocks unwind. Close your eyes, let the bass hold tight. Let it fix where you hide at night. We turn fear into rhythm clean. We turn no into watch me queen. Quiet tonight. Drive tonight. Neon pulse, drive be bright. We don't fold, we ignite. Drive, drive, hands up, let it ride. City lights on my face, I'm alive. Deep bass on my chest, it's my guide. On this road, I'm my own life. Drive, drive, no fear in my eyes. Turn the past to dust in drive. City lights leak through the curtain line, still burning softly behind my eyes. My fingers trace the rim of a coffee cup before the heat hits you that comes back first. A cracked up night in the bathroom mirror, I practice smiling but it doesn't land. Low in my headphones, something pulses slow, a tiny heartbeat meant just for me. The silence feels too close tonight, like I could see the shape of my breath deep in my chest. That knocking rhythm says I'm still here, I'm still alive. Heartbeat, heartbeat, loud enough to reach beyond the door. I run with all the pain I carry, neon nights blur and start to glow. Heartbeat, heartbeat, up past the shadow you once were. Even the way I cry gets left behind. This heartbeat leaves me forward. Traffic lights stretch into green lines, stars fall into the wet asphalt. When I look back, hesitation fades, just a distant sound I don't hear now. Only the warmth inside my hands proves this moment's real and bright. Fear still breathes, but I step anyway. Let the world catch up to my stride. Heartbeat, heartbeat, turn it up from deep inside my chest. I step ahead with all my fear and the world adjusts its pace to me. Heartbeat, heartbeat, I won't say your name tonight. I'm calling out to who I'll be. This heartbeat is changing me. Still beating, still moving on. Heartbeat, heartbeat, loud enough to reach beyond the door. I run with all the pain I carry on a night's blur and start to glow. Heartbeat, heartbeat, up past the shadow you once were. Even the way I cry gets left behind. This heartbeat leads me forward. Left to right, this